Good morning and welcome. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. With all the, programs and gifts from the government and things going on out there, we often wonder if we're getting scammed. You have to wonder that. Have you ever gotten a notice from your bank that looked like it came from your bank, had all the logos from your bank, or it looked like it came from the IRS, had all the logos from your IRS, and, looked really official, had the seal and everything on it on an email, only to find out that it wasn't real? How do we protect ourselves in this day and time? Yunessi Nunez, he's the group information security leader at Wells Fargo, here today to talk about tips on recognizing scams and knowing how to avoid them. Yunessi, thank you so much for being with us this morning. I tell you, I have been the victim of fraud before and have gotten several of those messages actually from Wells Fargo Bank because I'm a customer there, where it looks like it comes from Wells Fargo. I've even gotten a text message that was like, hey, why don't you, text us back and let us know, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll call the bank and say, did you guys just text me? And they'll say, no, we didn't. We wouldn't contact you like that for this. Send this over to your fraud department. So what's going on? How can we protect ourselves? And must be driving the banks crazy.
No, for sure. As you know, the coronavirus has put a great financial strain on many families and businesses. The government, financial institutions, and other organizations are rallying to support those in need. And as more support is offered to Americans and businesses that are struggling today financially, the threat of fraud is increasing, as you mentioned. So some tips that we have around being aware of phishing scams is make sure you are checking to see that messages, text messages, or emails that you're receiving are coming from the bank to help you obtain government benefits as a stimulus payment, for example. These fraudsters are keying in on these Americans' unstable finances to trick them into handing over sensitive personal and financial information. So make sure you're watching out for these types of schemes. The IRS will never call you, email you, or text you asking you to verify or provide your financial information to get your stimulus checks faster. If you receive an unexpected request that appears to be coming from the IRS, do not respond or click on any links or open attachments. Also, you need to be suspicious of any communication from an organization that claims it can help you rush your payment. Additionally, you need to be aware of unexpected requests and offers of financial assistance. Look out for emails and text messages that may include an urgent request for you to update your information, verify your identity, or take advantage of a special offer. These tricksters utilize this financial aid information and loan offers that are also very common on social media. So make sure you're prompted to call a phone number or assigned to a spoof website. You need to verify directly through another means instead of just responding to that email. And as you mentioned earlier, sometimes these emails look more real than true emails from organizations. But just make sure that you understand that your bank, the IRS, they will not ask you to send your financial information over email. So beware of these types of scams via emails or text messages.
Who do you think is the most vulnerable when you're talking about these types of things? I mean, I have my opinion on who's the most vulnerable, but what's your opinion? Who generally speaking are the most vulnerable when it comes to these types of things?
Well, frankly, over the years, we've seen that the phishing scams, these types of phishing scams, look very legitimate. So I can tell you that anyone could be susceptible to it. But obviously, if you're in great financial need or strain, you're looking for a way out and for a ways of being helped. So more than likely, you're going to click on a fraudulent email that looks legitimate. So in these times of need, it is very important that folks have their defenses up so that they're planning ahead and really focusing on determining whether this email is a valid email or not. And normally, the recommendation would be for them to call the institution to verify via phone rather than responding with the information over email.
And usually that number is found on the back of your ATM card or a credit card or even on your bank statement. If you don't have either one of those, it'll be on your bank statement. And I always tell when those kinds of companies call, because they sound so legitimate. I mean, you would swear that it's actually your bank. And especially when they go, oh, or they give, they send you an email and it's got a number there for you to call, but it's not the number you normally call your bank with because they set up 800 numbers. Don't think that just because it's got the seal from your bank or it's got that 800 number that that's actually the number for your bank, because it might not be. And especially on a text message, they'll have, just respond to this and say yes, and we'll give you more information. And you're like, well, how would anybody but my bank have my cell phone number? Oh, it's so easy to get those numbers. A lot of social media places sell your numbers. And how many times have you put your number in? Even when you sign up for social media, you sign up for some type of account online. People, those companies are known for selling that information. Am I right?
Absolutely, Josefa. And as you mentioned, for example, when you receive these calls from these fake, fictitious 800 numbers, it usually comes in the guise of an automated message. So let's call it a voice phishing. And basically what you need to do is, as you pointed out, is utilize a contact information, a phone number that you already have, so that on the back side of your debit or credit card or in your statement, and call that number instead of responding to the phone number that called you, specifically when it's difficult for you to verify the veracity of that phone call.
Oh, I know. I've gotten some really good ones that, they scare the devil out of you. Like around here in LA, we have DWP. It's one of the, electric and water companies. And you get this voice message that says, we are going to turn off your electricity in the next 24 hours if you do not make a payment. Call us back immediately to make this payment. This is DWP, blah, blah. They sound so official. And if you don't know better, or maybe you do owe, LADWP some money and you're like, wait a minute, I was supposed to have a little more time to pay that off. Oh my God, they're going to turn off my electricity. And you start panicking and call that number back. That happened to me once. And I was like, well, because I hadn't paid the bill yet. And I was just getting ready to call him back. I'm like, wait a minute. I went online, looked, and I said, yeah, okay, I owe some money. I called DWP. I'm like, why are you guys threatening to, it's not actually due for another 2 days. Why are you guys threatening to cut off my electricity? And they said, we're not doing that. I said, what? It was an LADWP representative. And they said, no, that's a phishing scam. Don't ever, give those people information. But somebody who, didn't go through those steps, who maybe owes the money, or maybe they owe on their credit card, or maybe, they think they may have a check that has bounced at the bank, they might get scared and just reply. So the best thing, again, is to go to the number that you have on your bill or the back of your ATM card or the back of your credit card and actually call the company. You can always tell the person on the phone, give me 5 minutes, call me back, and I'll have the information for you. And then when you hang up, then you call the numbers that you know are the right numbers and verify. Just say, hey, is this your company calling me and saying this? Am I right? That's how to handle it?
Absolutely. You need to be safe, and you need to verify just like you would verify in your daily lives, right? And one of the ways that you have to understand is that these cyber attackers are really utilizing social instances, social areas to trick you, to be confidence people, to trick you into clicking on their link. So your job is to protect yourself and re-verify that they are who they say they are by using the numbers that you already know to be their contact information.
Yeah, especially clicking on links that come in emails. The IRS ones are the best because they look so official. But I'm telling you, I know for a fact the IRS will never send you an email. They will send you a certified letter in the mail or they'll come knocking on your door. Trust me, they're not emailing. They're not texting. They're not going to ask you to click a link. That is not how the IRS works. It's not how the bank works. So, and another thing I always tell people is you never get anything for free. Nobody's giving away free money. It just doesn't happen, right?
That's right. It looks too good to be true. It probably is.
It probably is too good to be true. Well, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for what Wells Fargo does to, help protect all of us, and the great advice. Whether you're with Wells Fargo, it doesn't matter what bank you're with, it doesn't matter what electric company you're with, what gas company, anybody who's trying to give you away something for free, or they're trying to get you to give them any of your personal information. Be cautious, don't believe it, and please protect yourself and your family, especially in this time when there are so many programs going on. People think, well, this must be another government program where I'm going to get some free money. There's no such thing as free money. Even the money that you're getting from the government, you're going to get taxed on later anyway. It's not free. So just believe me, there is no free money. There's nobody who's going to pay your bill for you. Be careful. Be cautious. Always double check. The person on the other end, even if it is the bill collector, if you say, call me back in 5 minutes, and then you verify, they have to do it, even if it is real. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Josefa. Have a great day.
You have a beautiful day, too. Well, while you're sitting around sheltering in place all these weeks, things are starting to slowly open up, so the kids are probably getting even more cabin fever because they can see things starting to open up, and they're wondering why their lives aren't going back to totally normal. Well, Gillian Sealy is with us this morning, interim CEO of Power to Decide. And now might be a good time to start having some interesting and maybe even impactful conversations with young people. Good morning, Gillian.
Good morning.
So tell us, you guys have done a new poll. Talking is Power is the hashtag. And it says that the majority of adults see an increased opportunity for conversations with young people about some pretty interesting subjects. So what have you found in your poll?
So we have found that the majority of adults agree that social distancing, in fact, 57% of them have agreed that social distancing has increased the opportunity for conversations with the young people in their lives about love, sex, relationships, as well as birth control. In fact, 90% of adults also agree that having these types of conversations positively influence the young people in their lives to make informed decisions about these critical subjects. And as you just talked about, we've had some form of sheltering in place or safer at home, and this is a prime opportunity to really talk to the young people about things that will have an impact on the trajectory in their lives, including around sex, love, and relationships.
Now, your tagline is "Start early, talk often." So you think that it's important that parents and caregivers or whoever the person is in the life that the young adult feels most comfortable talking with, talks to them often and early, like starting young about these kinds of conversations. How early is it to start a conversation about relationships?
I think based on the champion, and when I use the word champion, I'm talking about, anyone in a young person's life that is willing to have thoughtful conversation. So that could be an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a mentor. I think, in terms of how young someone should start, I think starting the conversation with, deciding for themselves with their young people when the conversation should start, but also answering questions that these young people might have around sex, love, and relationships, I think is important. As you mentioned, Talking is Power is, it is a national effort to spark these meaningful conversations, and this is really the third consecutive year that this has happened. I think the other thing that I would say is that while we encourage these champions and mentors to start early, talk often, we also want to emphasize that, these champions really are the most powerful people in these young people's lives, and that they're really more powerful than they think. And we at Power to Decide have resources and tools that can start this conversation with these young people. I think back to, when I was talking to my parents, my friends, and mentors about sex, love, and relationships, I think back to how awkward a time that was. So we at Power to Decide, powertodecide.org, have tools and resources that can help parents and mentors and champions start these conversations.
And when you're talking to really young children, love and relationships often center around the relationships that they see. And sometimes those aren't always healthy relationships. How do we talk with somebody 5, 6, 7 years old about an unhealthy relationship?
I think the conversations have to be age appropriate, obviously. And I think that starting that early, you can talk about good relationships that might cause harm that you would want young people to, one, stay away from, but two, to be able to talk to their, again, it doesn't have to necessarily be a parent, but talk to their mentor or champion about a relationship that might give them pause, right? That might not feel comfortable. So we want to be able to empower, young children, teenagers, older teenagers to be able to just have these conversations with whomever they trust about relationships. So for a 5-year-old, having a detailed conversation about birth control and sex might not be age appropriate, but nonetheless, having a conversation about relationships, so healthy relationships, is appropriate. And I think now more than ever is a good opportunity as we're at home with our families to be able to start and initiate those conversations.
We're seeing a lot of information about, this sheltering in place has caused a lot of tension in the homes. And do you think that it's important that when there are situations like that between parents or between parents and older siblings, that we talk with the younger siblings about these kinds of friction? And do you have tools on your website for ways to have those kinds of conversations when things aren't quite going right in the home for younger people?
I think there is, I think there is an opportunity, and I go back to the point about, having champions and mentors that can talk to young people, whether they are older teens or younger teens, about, relationships, whether there's conflict or, anything else that's happening in the home. So it might not necessarily be that the parents that are in the home are the ones that are going to be initiating those conversations. I go back as well in my lived experience to living in a home where there was tension, but talking and being able to talk to, an aunt who, understood what was happening in the home, but also provided me with guidance and conversation about relationships and about understanding where, that conflict might lie, and also being able to provide the information that I needed to be able to contact her or anyone else if I felt that, I needed information about, what was happening in the home. So I think, there's a prime opportunity to, again, have these conversations, and where there is conflict, especially for younger siblings or younger children, to also provide them with, an opportunity to talk to someone who might be outside of their home. So, again, it could be an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent. In terms of what is on our website, and, again, I would direct folks to go to powertodecide.org/talkingispower. We do have resources on there that will help, again, champions, mentors, and parents start to have conversations about relationships.
One more time, give us that website.
powertodecide.org/talkingispower.
Well, Gillian, thank you so much for being with us this morning and providing this information. We really appreciate it during these hard times to give parents and caregivers and just families and people more opportunities to have incredible conversations. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Stick around. We got more coming up right here.